welcome back. So we get to chit chat a little bit more about the divine feminine, and that's where a 5D mystic in the Enlightenment Soul Age group has a whole different story for you with the divine feminine. We don't lose that connection to the infinite sphere of unconditional love, neutrality, and duality. So we don't lose equanimity. We don't lose ourselves as we're growing up. We maintain the relationship with our child parts, and then we become inner child adults. So that is one of the reasons why a pacha is what I call those divine feminines who begin their journey, and we have bliss and delight. So we get to enlightenment from this end of the spectrum, and then we meet those who come out of pain and loss, and they come to bliss and delight too, because once you have this equanimous stance, it's your restorative embodiment, self-aware, accountable, and regulating choice. So you consistently choose mindfulness practices, mindsight, and mindset. That's because you welcome emotions versus think of them or feel them as laundry. So you have your sense of self, your solo self, your core self, your narrative self, and the relational self. So you have your name, use your human name. Okay, the divine feminine doesn't lose their way because woman, man, or they doesn't matter. They will have a relationship with intelligence and the creator of all. We're all brothers and sisters, and so we have compassion in the forefront. You grow more equanimous, you grow more loving, not less. And as you get to go through charges, because that spirituality awakening, one, it begins for the divine feminine, and like anyone else, since the moment you take those lovely breaths. But really what I should say is that it's when you have that capacity to keep your inner child alive, no shame button, no blame, no fault, no revenge. So no trauma charges, no trauma wounds. And that is actively when you're going to keep the relationship with your own divine masculine. That's your mind. Okay, so you have energy that is your feminine, I call divine feminine, the body. And that is why it's very important as you have a relationship with the feminine, the right mode of your brain. This is impacted in the first year of life of every person if they have not had secure attachment. And those first 3 years are also very important because we have implicit memory. Okay, so the first 3 years of your life, all of these sensations, they will be not with words necessarily, but they will be with why somatics and sensory motor are important when somebody's reclaiming and doing EMDR, child parts work, and somatics, reclaiming their inner child to reparent and then become their adult. So it's once you're an inner child adult that you will be able to harness what is a divine feminine's lifestyle. If you're a mystic, then you will also know of Claire's, and if not, that's okay because you'll still enjoy being in a relationship and relationships with people who are functional adults and in our human birthright of the restorative embodiment, self-aware, again, accountable and regulating person. And so you know how to be yourself authentically, like Pacha, and you handle anyone who has childhood, developmental trauma, adaptive child, maladaptive child, these patterns, these behaviors, they are not needing to be pathologized by the common day person walking around. That is where they don't need a pathology, they need a therapist. And they need to be aware of themselves in a way of wanting it. And if they're not, it's none of our business. The law keeps us protected. The law is what we look to, so we don't cast stones. Those individuals who use words, the psychoeducation, and or even spirituality words, when I hear anyone saying to me, somebody's an energy vampire, dark aura, I correct them. I say, nobody's an energy vampire or dark aura. These are part of us. Don't you know what it is to be a mystic? You know about us being one ball of energy, right? You know that we're infinitely connected. That's a part of you. There's an active, very specific balance between matter. You know of this if you're a divine feminine, and that means if you are of faith and spirituality and a mystic. Sciences, they don't have the same emotional participation, and that's why they are divine masculines who then welcome and or have that divine feminine in a different way, and we complement. In fact, there's a complementary that comes with sciences and spirituality. The 5D collective knows all about it. Spiritual self-help is for people who want to access more of the functional adult life that is your human birthright. And that's where IHP works for those who want that. Voices, stories, perspectives, and one-to-one mentorship, and the master class and our spiritual retreats as they will unfold in time And so being yourself is not hard. You also know how to have inner balance and detachment, not by being a cold log. No, you have compassion and wisdom. So we will feel for people who have porous boundaries, but we will not dictate to them what to do. It's like Sid, Manny, and Diego. They all live together happily ever after. We are Pachas. We're not Sid, we're not Manny, we're not Diego. We're not Cusco, but we are able to be around them like a Pacha, understanding as a somatic empath does, because your integrated brain allows you to, that everyone does the best they can. That's actually why we're unimpressed by those who are not divine feminines, because it's unimpressive to meet unkindness. It's unimpressive to meet a maladaptive child pattern behavior of somebody who's fucking drinking, drugging, and doesn't recognize that a good therapist could help them. It's unimpressive to see people tell you about their toxic codependent relationship and actively tell you that it's beautiful while, so this is where there's so many different ways that you can walk around and notice. And these are not people that are in the street. No, these are people with masters, PhDs. They even have more certificates than I'll ever have. These are people that are shamans, they're tarot card readers, they are yogis, all of that. They're all these words. And then you'll watch how they treat that neighbor. And then you'll watch how they talk about the neighbor. Now, we all share moments of life for sure. But we all know, if you are tapped into that sphere that I'm trying to talk to you about, so the feminine, there's one, and that would be the entirety of that creationship that we want to talk about. Essence of love and life. And so you remember, all of you, like I, are a piece of each other. And that makes sense here for divine feminine. We're unimpressed by divine masculines because divine masculines, and that doesn't mean they have no clairs. The ones who go around saying, see, I told you about this prediction. See, I told you about this. Yes, so that's a Cusco. I'm trying to break this one down. Divine masculines are unimpressive because they're going to be unkind, cold, liars. They don't know what they're talking about. So that's where you find Cuscos. It's people who don't have their 1-year-old, 2-year-old, 3-year-old, all the way till their 8-year-old and 16-year-old in the forefront, and they project their low self-esteem, porous boundaries, and they don't know what healthy boundaries are, which are one, nice conversations, and really boundaries isn't even a word for me because, see, if my gut says I'm uninterested in you, I've known this since I was a teenager, and I've applied it consistently. And you've heard about this story. I told you about a very funny story recently. So it's been 3+ years at this point going that I have consistently disengaged from befriending as well as being remotely connected to 3 human beings specifically that come to a place I frequent. Out of 3 of them, 1 of them decided to go out of their way. No, they were drunk and they were having a bad day and they did this thing. And you know all about the story. I'm not going to share it again. But the point of me bringing it into the mix is that I don't find it offensive. I didn't find it annoying. I found it humorous as I'm interacting. And humorous meaning, shit, what do I do now? So I didn't have a yucky feeling. Oh, how horrible. Was it the highlight of my evening? No, it wasn't. Did it bum me out? No, it didn't. This is what it means to be a person that is, 1, a divine feminine, for real, because again, you're connected to pure consciousness, Purusha, unconditional love, pure energy, Prakriti, my whole 3-year-old heart. But I'm also humble, and the awareness that we are all part of one. Also, you represent no physical threat to me, so I don't need to be in my safety behavior. My brain stem does not need to be engaged. My my modulated or dysregulated embodied self, I don't need to be in my sympathetic. So the maladaptive is a different story, because maladaptive child behavior patterns are actively people who have addictions, and more than just that, and more than simply the adaptive child behavior. So they're not better or worse. If a person gets the lens and then they begin a journey, they will be able to redirect and disengage completely from the maladaptive child behavior patterns as well as the adaptive child behavior patterns. So that's why it's no demon, no romanticizing, no needing to treat you special or not. No, you get to go to good therapists if you get a good one. If you don't, then that's unfortunate. The good spirituality person will ensure that you are aware if there's the need. If I know of a person who eventually reveals to me that we have altars that we're working with, I'm going to say, okay, look, we need to call somebody to accompany us on this journey. This is non-negotiable because I'm actively aware as an attachment trauma informed person on purpose and a person who takes seriously supporting people on personal development. So no, that's not my role, but my role is going to be as a person who knows how you're going to succeed is telling you the truth in your face, and it won't be an option because of what? There are people who don't want therapists because they have met bad ones. And then there are people who know what are our strengths and what are our subject matter of expertise and what it means. So if I know anything, and any smart person will, 30 plus years and more of people in the mental health industry, of which I have a good network of anyways, so I know the good ones. 30 plus years, you're going to better bet I'm going to cooperate with somebody who's going to give me a person that we're going to work with because I'm informed. That's the responsibility. And it isn't negotiable. Like I got this person, they had recently a psychotic breakdown or a psychosis, something happened. And they were all accelerated and happy, and they were into wanting everything within the spirituality community toolkit: Reiki, tarot, Akashic record readings, you name it. They met me because somebody introduced me to them, and they told me a little bit about themselves, and they're telling me about this thing. And I said, okay, before we do anything, we want to sit down and have a consult because I want to understand what we are dealing with so that I can be of the best service and advise, and then we will move forward. But until that moment, we're not doing anything. That is responsibility, not some shaman getting on screen and telling you, hey, come do the shamanic ritual. I can heal you and get you out of 10 years of therapy. Wow, I see that you, one, are discrediting another professional. Two, you're making it sound like you can do more than another. Three, that's actually quite unnecessary unless you're trying to make yourself more appealing and the, shamanic session in and of itself. And the point is you don't do that if you care about a person's well-being. So when I've seen tarot readers, don't go to therapy, come to me. No, again, that's not going to help you stop to do that maladaptive child behavior. It's serious business. So when people take themselves seriously, they actively will, one, not discredit any person. Because see, anyone who wants to discredit a spirituality toolkit, sure, whatever. I mean, you discarding something tells me that you don't know what it is to expand, one, your horizons, and also you have an opinion that pretty much you've decided that you know more about something. And if you're not a Reiki practitioner, and if you're not in the spirituality, you don't know anything about it in the first place, but that you will have curiosity, that you will have questions, that you can be afraid, that you will not like having an actual conversation. Those are two different things than saying, oh, it's all stupid shit. Sure it is, yeah. So that word stupid, I used it in one of our episodes. Nobody's stupid actively. But there are plenty of people who think they know everything and they don't, and that's stupidity, as well as discounting spirituality or sciences for that matter. So true sciences, they don't discount spirituality. But of course, if they say woo-woo, like I have been in classes, don't bring me that woo-woo stuff. We don't take offense. A grown human being, an actual divine feminine, according to this divine feminine, doesn't do, oh, they don't believe me. No shit, Sherlock. They're not the spirituality people. Would you think they'd believe you? You know this already, but you don't go telling people that other end of the spectrum, because I've been in classes with the spirituality people. Yeah, you can't go to the therapist. They'll find you wacko. Da, 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 da. Again, we don't need any of those extremes. If you are spirituality, you want a group of people that have the experiences. You want to make sure they're responsible and that they're not spiritual bypassers, which instead there's a bunch of spiritual bypassers out there. Anytime you meet professionals, a good therapist will not tell you that you are done. They will say you are not done. Your behavior and your trauma is healable. With your best foot forward, we get you out of hell. Because that's what trauma charges, and that trauma, gut wrenched, torn apart. So they will say, we have a way out of all of this, the maladaptive particularly, but you need to want it. And then you're going to need to have secure, attached, healthy self-worth people around you, because they're going to keep you in check. You don't want the ones who say, I forgave you, I forgave you. You don't want the ones who will present to you what is actively not going to support you. And I've met people who have had to go no contact with people as they're healing, and those people present to them stuff and things that actively are not helpful. And when they told the story, they were not like, yeah, I did this thing. That was actively, I had to say, look, either you come to therapy with me, or I need to disengage from contact for some time, because I'm doing good, I'm moving forward, and this sets me back every time I'm reliving it. A person will know where they're at with that emotional and mental capacity and physical, and when they're healing seriously, they will appreciate, even if they don't appreciate the Jacob personality, meaning a person who tells you things to your face and doesn't say, oh, I'm going to give you a green pass because you have the, no, I'm not going to give you a green pass. If you're working on something, you're aware of what you're working on, you get out of imposter syndrome, you get out of the human suffering bit, you get out of that. I'm going to be the person who says, you're doing the journey, you know what you are presented, do more of it. You don't like it, it's okay. But I won't say, sure, stay within your human suffering body. Don't reclaim your 1-year-old. So when people do things like this, you know what? I'm an avoidant attachment. Since they're picking on avoidance, I decided I'm going to talk about this. And then I paid a buttload of money to therapists, but they keep telling me I'm doing a good job. Then they tell me that I just need to keep journaling and doing mindfulness and meditation. But, so why should I go to you? Why should I pay you? Fair, square, I get it. But then they continue with saying, but I don't want to do it anyways, and all people are fucked up. So essentially making an excuse to stay within suffering. The motivation to be in well-being from your embodied brain is yours. It's like stubbing a toe and saying, I want to curse every time I stub my toe. That is where the mental and emotional mastery is a conscious choice of yours, and physical mastery. And so moving into becoming a full-fledged functional adult, there's no appeal for the person who wants to basically keep on doing what is not appealing to divine feminine, by the way. And so on that note, it's not appealing to see Cuscos all over the place saying that love is, let me teach you how to keep a man. Sure, yeah, you keep him on a leash. My man won't be on a leash. That ain't actually how healthy self-worth works. It works that you know how to be authentic, transparent, tell me shit to my face, have an actual conversation, and be emotional. If I can't be the depths of me, you think I want to be around you, you're bumming me out by the minute. As soon as you tell me the stars are going to fall from the sky because everybody is doing this shit, oh my gosh, get away from me. I mean, we already have a planet that has all of those other people who are talking about it. How about we are the ones who, and this is the part, you choose bliss, delight, or hone in on pain and loss. Enlightenment is not when you are in pain and loss, but there's a Zen master who does have that laundry bit, and he's out there for the human suffering love narrative group. Spiritual self-help is not for people who want to suffer. It's for people who want to love. And you love because you choose it from here and here and here. And it's not because there's an actual, we won't be able to prove God. The one thing about faith, that's what I was saying, it's not a belief. I don't have words. I feel it in my bones. I feel it in my heart. I feel it to be true, to the extent of where you can tell me I'm a stupid fucking moron. I'll say, yes. You're not going to break it, though, because my bones is my heart. It's all of me. I can feel it. And then, I became a mystic. So that actually made a lot of, no. If there's one thing my teenage self would have never thought was that I would have clairs. Even though the sciences explain it, I still never would have thought, because I had heard about them in different ways. And that's just something that seemed so far, far away. So We embrace the tree of life with our brothers and sisters and create the fire of fertility that enables inner child adults to bring forth true passion and love. We harness from mind, heart, and body, beingness and doingness in one, which means maximizing our masculine and feminine energies in our day to day. Thanks to spiritual self help mindfulness, mindset, and mindset practices, we get to embody the essence of all that life can bring forth when living spirituality in every day and in all relationships, which is AKA an integrated brain and a restorative, embodied, self aware, accountable, and regulating mindful person. And that's for those who want to be here. We are always processing thoughts and emotions as we live being ourself in our day to day life and with our relationships, romantic and not. And we get to heal trauma one person and relationship at a time together here at IHP. So if you want to join a community of functional adults who are self-aware, accountable, and regulating, and who use love and patience when working through processing trauma or emotions, some of us don't consider it trauma charges, but it is important for those who do need us to expand their window tolerance, and therefore they get to witness, process, and heal completely with us, welcoming home the parts of their self piece by piece, so they get to have that emotional charge in a safe space, and then they get to take that trauma charge seriously, and they have no shortcuts. They embody every day to say, I want to be myself, and you're letting me be myself, so I get lovingly accepted. I don't work for love. I don't need to pull on some string, and I have all my emotions, adaptive child or maladaptive, but I get a functional adult that's going to say, okay, Cusco, you told me you wanted to be emotionally and mentally and physically mature. So let me address that, shall I? And so we say, hey, you want to build a snow home? No, mer home. I like the sunny beaches and hot weather. No snow. Now I'll come every now and then. On Christmas. I like snow on Christmas. Okay, so join us if you enjoy spiritual self-help and love. And if you enjoy hearing from a lovely divine feminine, and yes, my divine masculine is here, but I have divine masculines out there. So we might have another short episode if I get some time to share some more stories. Thank you again for stopping by. Like, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful day.